Hi everyone, my name is Gina. I want to tell you about my life with my mom and our difficult relationship. Every family has its own story and situations, and mine will probably be a classic one. So, I'm not going to drag it out. Listen. There used to be 4 of us in the family. Dad, Mom, my brother David, and me. My parents always loved some of the kids more and some less. My older brother got all of the parental love because, as my parents said, they dreamed of having 2 sons to feed them in the future. But then a girl was born, that is, me, and it ruined all their perfect plans for old age. I did not immediately understand what was what. All the conclusions that I have made now are the result of long years of observation. Well, for example, when we went to movies as a family, I'd pull my parents to a cartoon and my brother would choose an action movie. So we'd go see the action movie. If we ate one dish in a cafe, I could choose the same as my brother, but it still gets overplayed. What are we going to eat? Let's order a dish for the whole family.
Kids, take your pick. David, what do you want?
I think we should order the chicken.
It's spicy, let's not.
It's just a little spicy, and besides, you can ask for the hot sauce separately.
I didn't like it very much last time. By the way, yes, you can ask for the sauce separately. It's good here. I'll take the chicken.
Okay, honey, we'll order the chicken and the sauce separately.
That's a great idea, son.
What? Okay, forget it. It was such a typical situation, but I've seen this kind of thing almost every day. All the best to my brother. He had a better room too. More spacious, prettier, and they gave me the attic. Interestingly, David didn't see things at all, though I was winding myself up. Our upbringing was different too. He was more spoiled and capricious than I was, so that's how we lived. And then David got into sports and started winning soccer on the school team. They gave him good grades just for being a powerhouse. My dad was increasingly proud of him, and he and my mom never missed a game, unlike me. Yes, I was jealous of him. Why was my brother so successful, smart, handsome, and I wasn't? And these accumulated feelings made me want to hurt him all the time. Sometimes I would oversalt his omelet. Sometimes I would push him in the doorway. Sometimes I would pretend to be his girlfriend and pick up the phone while he was taking a shower. I'd throw tantrums and get dumped. He had no idea I was doing it. I was just getting high off it. One day, though, my devious plan was revealed. I picked up the phone when some Caitlin called him on the phone and started pretending to be his girlfriend. I threw mud all over the girl on the other end of the line, and she cried. But as soon as I hung up, I saw David behind me. He was standing there, angry and indignant.
So this is who's ruining my relationship?
Oh, hey, sorry. I don't know what you mean. I have no idea who that was. Apparently, it was a wrong number.
I heard everything. You picked up the phone from the other room. How could you, Gina? You're my fucking sister.
Look, one little chat and that's it. Why are you getting hysterical?
Because, Gina, I really like this girl, and I've done a lot to get us together.
Come on, you're the best. What's it worth to hook up with some stupid hottie?
Don't say that, Gina, or else...
Or what, David? Go ahead, say it. You're allowed anything. Our parents would never scold you for hurting me, and if you did, it would be no big deal, right?
What are you talking about?
Haven't you noticed? All the best goes to you. Our parents only dance to your tune because you've got something between your legs, and I'm not that lucky. I was born a girl.
What does that have to do with anything?
Man, you're really stupid. To love you just because you were born a boy and not love me because I'm a girl? David looked at me with surprise and then annoyance. He walked up the stairs, told me not to dare pick up the phone in this house again, and that phrase knocked me out.
Do you think you have more right to this house than I do?
I yelled, and without expecting it, I pushed David down the stairs. He rolled down and passed out. I won't tell you any more about the horror that was going on. Yeah, I was really sorry. I didn't mean for it to go down like that. I certainly didn't want to kill him, but I couldn't control myself at that point. I cried a lot and couldn't sleep, and neither did my parents. They stopped talking to me altogether. My brother's condition was bad. He banged his neck, but he was alive, just unconscious. A few months passed like that. He was put into a medically induced coma. The news was a shock. It was impossible to live at home because my parents looked at me sideways, would not say a word to me. I was like a shadow in an empty place, and I wanted to redeem myself somehow, so I started dressing in David's clothes.
Are you crazy? Take it off! He's not dead!
I know, Mom. It makes me feel better. It's like he's here, you know?
I wish you were in his place.
Her words pierced my heart like a knife. I wanted to howl in pain, but I realized that I had to do something. Otherwise, I'd go crazy. So, after I changed my closet, I went to soccer. I had never liked this sport, but since David loved it, I thought, why not? After a couple of weeks, I was getting good at it, though at one practice I got my hair caught right in the gate, and it hurt. That same day, I cut my braid off and got a boyish haircut. My mom and dad were freaking out when they saw me.
Gina, you look like him now.
That's awful! Are you doing this on purpose? To hurt us? No. My hair was just bothering me while I was playing soccer.
You also went to soccer? Are you mocking us?
Not mocking. I just want to be...
You'll never be like your brother. Never, okay?
Tears flowed out of my eyes. I threw a ticket to my first women's soccer game on the table and went to my room. And what do you think? They didn't show up for the game. And I went to my brother's hospital right after my debut. Hey, David. Hey, how are you? You're doing great. Lying around, resting, not having to study, huh? Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have said that a long time ago, but I was so embarrassed that I couldn't. Actually, you're right. I'm a stupid, jealous sister who's never done anything with her life. All I've ever done is envy you. But you know, it really hurts to grow up in a family that doesn't love you. I don't know if you've heard, but Mom and Dad often talk about how they'd love it if I'd been a boy, like a little brother for you. Now, while you're away, I'm trying to change both externally and internally to win my parents' love. But it's the opposite. Since I became boyish, Mom hates me even more. So that's my point. I came to say goodbye to you. I'm sorry I ruined your life. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry. I'm leaving home. Goodbye. Hot tears streamed down my cheeks. I hugged my brother's arm and headed for the door, where I met my parents. At first, we just looked at each other in silence, and then I grabbed my bag and wanted to move aside. But then my father took my hand and offered me a cup of coffee. We sat down in the hallway and were quiet.
You played great. You're good at passing. Did you know that?
What? Were you there? Were you at the game? We were. Of course we were. It was your first game.
Training for 1.5 months, and you got a result like that. Not everyone can do that.
I didn't see you there. We didn't sit in the stands. We stood on the field to see you better. Gina, my daughter, forgive us. For what?
For not showing you our love and not paying you enough attention.
Are you serious? Mom! Dad! I couldn't pull myself together. My lips were shaking. I was shaking like I was standing naked in the cold. Yes, we're sorry, daughter. Don't leave home. Don't! You don't have to do anything for us just because we're stupid parents. You are my daughter and my great pride. You don't have to pretend to be a boy. Just be yourself. And if you can, forgive us. And then we didn't say a word, just sat on the floor, hugged tight, and cried. And then the doctor ran up to us, shouted my father's name loudly, and was like, "Your son is calling for Gina." Yeah, he came to his senses. Finally.
Hi everyone, my name is Dickie, and I want to share with you the story of how my family disowned me. I agree that this is hard to believe, and any normal person will first think that this is a monstrous act, that you can't do this, and that only monsters are capable of it. But you know what? All. What is done is all for the best. I saw this for myself, because after this incident, I became a really happy teenager. I was born in a family where there were usually no guests, where the house was always a mess, and usually there was nothing to eat except semi-finished products or fast food. At first, let me tell you about every member of my family. This is my father, Pays, who is older than middle-aged, but still has a strong personality, such an energetic man with a huge mustache. My dad always liked to dress brightly, like a red jacket or a fun hat. My father didn't know where he worked. It was like this all his life. Maybe I don't know where he works, or no one knows, but he was clearly doing something illegal. I wasn't interested in the details, so I just kept out of his business. My mother, Susanna, loved herself, her nails, and her stupid dog, Linda, too much to have time for her own children. I don't remember my mother ever cooking food from the stove. And in general, we only needed the kitchen in the house to eat, but not to cook. If my mother didn't eat, she was surfing the internet or flipping through magazines with a dog in her arms. She didn't work because my father provided for us well enough. I also have a brother, Palmer. He was as dumb as our dog. Palmer looked like the Pope, was the same full and narrow-minded as both parents. I know you can't say that, but it's true. None of my ancestors had even finished high school, and Palmer was almost on the dropout list. It is not clear at all who I went to. I was not like any of these three, either in appearance or character. Thank God, in brain. I was different. Palmer often joked about how I was stupidly thrown and that I was not native. But I was not particularly upset, but on the contrary. As you already understood, I didn't find a common language with my family, so I didn't really talk. Usually, I'd come home from school, lock myself in my room, do my homework, prepare my sandwiches. While I was doing my homework, I would eat a meal, after, or rest, or go for a walk. I had a couple of friends. They were cool guys. One of them I was best friends with. His name is Ryan. This is my best friend, and we lived not far from each other, on the next street. Ryan always helped me with my lessons or whatever. Every time my parents went on a party, he and his mother would leave me at their house so I could spend the night there in peace. I just loved those moments. Ryan's home environment was very different. He didn't have a father, but his cool mom was so kind. When I came, his mother would cook a delicious dinner, meat with vegetables, casserole, spaghetti, or something else homemade. I loved this kind of food, and I was tired of sandwiches for a long time. Ryan's mother was surprised when I told her about my parents, and felt sorry for me. I knew she was right when she said it shouldn't be like this. It would be nice to stay at Ryan's house. By the way, he asked me to stay more than once, and each time I wanted to, but I couldn't. I knew how my crazy ancestors would react. They would make a big deal of it and yell at the whole street that I had been stolen. And then what should have happened? Palmer loved trying on her clothes and putting on makeup without knowing it. I knew it because I saw it. He promised to kill me if I told, so I didn't. Once again, while parents were out, Palmer ran to the parents' bedroom, and this time he's a little over the top. I told you he's a chubby guy, and he's gained even more recently. Anyway, he tore up my mom's Chanel dress, which was super expensive. At that moment, my mother came home, and this idiot ran out to her, shouting that I had torn her dress. My mother believed her beloved son and gave me a beating. I got so that it did not seem enough. After the punishment, I was so angry that I ran into Palmer's room, pushed him off the chair, and started hitting him in the face. My mother ran to our screams, picked me up, pushed me out the door, and said that I was not a child, but an animal. My father came in the evening and gave me a punishment for it. Palmer was an innocent child. I was so tired of the injustice that I started to cry. My parents, feeling sorry for the older one, pointed a finger at the door. The father shouted that I was no longer his son. I ran out of the house and ran wherever I could see. I've never felt this bad before. No, I'm not upset that I got kicked out. I'm upset that everything is so unfair to me. It took strength and patience. I ran, not knowing where, in the end. My feet led me to a familiar house. A house with which I associate only good things. A house where I am warm and cozy, where I am always welcome. "Hi, Dickie. Come in, of course," said Ryan and his mother to me. They gave me a delicious dinner, during which I described the situation. Ryan's mother was horrified, and then made a bed for me in Ryan's room. I lived there for 4 days. On the 4th day, my parents came to my school. Suddenly, my mother and father began to apologize. They asked me to forgive them, offered to buy toys, books, and I did not understand what was happening. I came home in the evening and didn't recognize the house. It was clean, for the first time in my life. My mother did the cleaning herself, cooked dinner, and everyone was at the common table, eating with appliances and treating me. I was alarmed by the behavior, but I ate and went to my room. At night, I went to the kitchen for a drink of water and heard the family talking. Do you realize that we can stay outside, right? Why did your mother choose Dickie and leave him the house as her inheritance? He can kick us out, you know, my mother shouted at my father, and Dad yelled back at her that it was all her fault for giving birth to someone as defective as me. And then it all became clear to me. My grandmother left the house to me, in which we lived, so it is rightfully mine. But I didn't want to live with them. I wanted to live alone now, because they were away from me. I took out a recorder and recorded everything my parents said about me, including that they wished me dead. The next day, the police and guardianship authorities heard the recording, and Ryan and his mother were next to me. As a result, my parents were deprived of the rights, even jailed for a while for threatening me, and Palmer and I were supposed to be sent to boarding school, but I didn't want to go there. At this point, Ryan's mother offered to help me and I agreed. She adopted me. After we finished everything, we moved into my big house, and the three of us lived there. Now I had a new family, much better and kinder, just like I wanted. What would you do if you were me? Write your opinion in the comments, put likes, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.